9:46 now. Maybe you're getting married today or you're going to a wedding today, and here's a dilemma. Say it is your wedding day, you've been planning it for ages, and then you look out at the reception at your loved ones and there are 2 empty seats, okay? 2 of your guests have not turned up. They haven't called, they haven't texted, just haven't shown.
That's rude. Well, Jessica and Justin Baker say they had to miss the big day of one of their relatives because of childcare issues. They were a little surprised, though, a week later, because the bride had sent them an invoice through the post.
Yes, she charged them money for the food that she'd paid for and that they hadn't been there to eat. We're going to discuss who was in the right, who was in the wrong. Maybe they were both right, maybe they were both wrong. But first, James Laidler has the story.
Your wedding day. It's one of the most special moments in your life. But how would you react if someone who was invited was a no-show? One American couple in Minnesota found out the hard way. They skipped a relative's big day when their childcare fell through at the last minute.
I had thought about maybe we should just bring the kids with, but, you know, the invitation had said, no children, please.
Jessica and her husband Justin said they weren't that close to the bride and didn't want to bother her. Jessica didn't give it another thought until she checked her post.
I went out to my mailbox and opened up the mailbox, noticed a handwritten envelope from the bride.
It was this bill for $75.90, almost £50, for 2 servings of fish, plus tax and even a service charge. The bride said it reflected the amount paid for the meals and that an explanation for not showing up would be appreciated.
My reaction was just shock, and I just had to laugh because I thought it was absurd.
She didn't want to name the bride, but says she has no plans to pay up. She posted a photo of the invoice on Facebook, and it's gone viral, with thousands of commenters weighing in. But was it the bride or the guest that committed a party faux pas? James Laidler, BBC News.
What would you do?
I'm on the side of the bride.
What you think?
I think it was rude not to turn up.
To invoice them.
Costs money. Weddings are expensive.
They are.
Parties are expensive.
Let's talk about this further. Joining us to discuss it is etiquette coach William Hanson and wedding and party planner Tracy Lavin. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hello.
You
William.
laughed when I said that.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm on both sides. You know, I have sympathy because I see a lot of brides. I've sympathy with the bride on that side. I'd never encourage them to invoice. I'd never do that. I think they need to be a bit more tactful about it. Just put them in the blacklist. Don't speak to them again. Something like that, maybe. But yeah, I feel for the bride in that sense. But on the guest side, it was very rude not to.
William, you're a stickler for these things.
Yes, if you say you're going to something, you go. Now, in this instance, apparently it was a childcare issue. I totally understand. Sometimes things happen.
And children weren't allowed at this wedding?
Yeah.
Or they didn't want children at the wedding?
Mobile phones are so prevalent. Some people have 2 mobile phones. You can easily get a message to them, if not before the event, but immediately after.
But on a wedding day? Can you text a bride on her wedding day?
No, I would. No, if you can't go to a wedding, you certainly make a phone call or go and see them in person sort of afterwards. But if it was a couple that were invited, why couldn't one of them have gone? You don't need 2 people to look
Quite
after
a few
the child.
people have been in touch saying that as well, and also comparing it to other events as well. Children's parties, a 50th birthday someone had organised and people didn't turn up after saying that. It's the expense that's put into it, and I think perhaps maybe people just think, you know what, you know these things cost money, you know we've planned, you know we've spent time, you've disregarded that.
There's a lot of, I deal with a lot of venues as well, so I think they really need to work with the venues a lot more on that as well, because we're on about the bride and groom and the organiser getting charged for this, but if they work with the venues a bit more, the venues have got strict terms and conditions, but some of them are more flexible than others, so they need to, you know, just say, look, instead of having like 2-week notes and numbers, can we just have like 2 24-hour numbers, 10% of your total numbers? That helps them a bit more as well, so they need to talk to them.
If it's your wedding day, the happiest, biggest day of your life, don't things matter more than a couple of empty seats? I mean,
Well,
haven't they over?
Yeah, and on the day, I wouldn't give much thought about it. But, you know, for a party, I know it's terribly irritating when people don't turn up because you've actually spent money. And often these people who don't get it, who do just think, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't go, with no excuse, often they are not hosts themselves and they don't really get it.
Alan in Telford, morning Alan, completely understands this bride's situation and invoicing it. They had a Ruby wedding party. 25 people who said they were going to the party didn't turn up.
Well, that's ridiculous.
You know who you are if you're watching this morning. Invoices in the post, I think, from Alan.
Well, Kevin says the guests should have sent a message to explain their absence and apologise. Lots of our viewers, and lots of you have got in touch saying, good manners don't cost anything, really, and this could have been avoided. Claire says she got married on Saturday the 18th of December, right? So that's, week before Christmas. There was thick snow. Lots of people were unable to attend. They offered free accommodation for everyone, even the photographers. They prepaid a lot of money per guest. It just meant they had loads more food, wine, champagne for everyone. Out of 50 evening guests, one turned up.
Oh, my word.
One guest at the wedding.
However, Claire
You're not going to go hungry.
However, Claire says, we had a lovely day, their loss. And maybe that's a healthier attitude.
Well, yes. I mean, it's a healthier attitude, but you know, your ego is going to be around the ankles if only one guest turns up.
One evening guest.
One evening.
William, is there a bigger issue here about the way in which we reply to things these days? The fact that these people didn't text. I mean, you say that even when the invitation goes out to an event these days, a lot of people don't reply in the way that you would expect them to.
Yes, I mean, you have the etiquette is that you have 2 to 3 days to respond to any invitation, and I don't mind if that invitation comes through the post or on Facebook or on a text message, but you must reply. But, I mean, hosts and brides, I suppose, and grooms are slightly to blame because they have started inviting people to events to a party by text or by Facebook, and we're not going to treat that as seriously as a stiff invitation through the post, which can sit on our mantel shelf and look resplendent for 6 weeks leading up to the event.
How flexible, then, are venues now? You mentioned about, you can perhaps be coy with the numbers or ask them to be flexible, but they understand it's quite a stressful process, isn't it, for the bride and groom, as they're thinking about, we want the perfect day.
Yeah, it's very stressful for the bride because they not only have to think about, the menu, the venue, they've got the wedding dress, the bridesmaids' dresses. There's a lot more for them to think about and a lot more bigger things that can go wrong than 2 people not turning up at a wedding. So they need to, I think they just need to work with the venues. The venues are very strict now with not just weddings, with corporate events and things like that. They've got their terms and conditions because they're thinking of, that's one day 10 people didn't turn up. Over the year, that's thousands of people they've not charged for.
So there's not much flexibility.
So they're not flexibility, but again, as a wedding planner, I would sort of argue with the venue on that side, but the bride and groom wouldn't possibly know that.
I've been quite surprised by the response today, because when we were discussing it this morning, lots of people were like, that bride, she must have been a bridezilla. But lots of people are saying, at first, perhaps she does sound petty, but then when you rationalise it, many weddings have a limited budget. So says Paul, resulting in a lot of friends only coming to the evening event. There are hard choices to be made, and by not turning up to the main event, it's cost someone else a
taking
place.
somebody else's place who could have gone.
Which is unfair and a little bit selfish, isn't it?
I wonder what the etiquette is about going public on this after you've received the invoice, because I mean, this couple that we just heard from in the piece, they've now blown it worldwide. It's gone viral. Is that the greatest sin of all here, do you think?
Yes, I think they don't have much of a moral high ground, and they've lost their moral high ground that they had by sending the invoice, but then by going to the media.
I wonder what sort of Christmas that family's going to have.
Well, they're distant relatives.
They are now. They are now.
I think they're very distant.
It's always the relatives.
Is that in your experience? That's the biggest fallout?
A lot of time in weddings, it's relatives, more than friends, to be honest. So all the relatives.
Have you got weddings today?
No, next week we've got weddings. Yeah,
It's been great talking to you. It's really been a talking point for us this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank you very much as well for getting in touch with your thoughts.
And if you've got to go to a wedding today, go. All right.